Hey everyone, in this video, we'll uncover the most valuable Abraham Lincoln steel penny you should be on the lookout for. We'll break down what makes these Lincoln wheat pennies so special. First up, the 1943 Abraham Lincoln steel penny without a mint mark is one of the most talked about coins in American history. And today, we are going to take a deep, clear look at what makes this wartime cent special, how to identify an original piece, and what its value is in today's market in fine condition. When most people hear 1943 penny, they immediately think of the famous $1 million bronze-era penny. But the regular 1943 steel penny is a completely different coin with its own interesting story. Even though it is not extremely rare, it remains one of the most collected Lincoln cents ever made. And millions of people still look through their old change, hoping to find one in better condition. So let's talk about what you truly have if you are holding a 1943 steel penny from the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark. In 1943, the United States was deep in World War II, and copper was desperately needed for military purposes such as ammunition and communication equipment. Because of this shortage, the U.S. Mint made a major change for 1 year and switched the 1-cent coin from its usual bronze composition to zinc-coated steel. As a result, the 1943 pennies appear silver or gray, instead of the usual brown or red shade of a copper cent. This temporary change created one of the most recognizable coins ever made. The coin feels slightly lighter when held and has a distinctive metallic ring when tapped. The switch to steel was very noticeable to the public, and many people saved these coins as soon as they appeared, which is one reason they remain available today in large numbers. A genuine 1943 steel penny without a mint mark is easy to identify once you know what to look for. First, because it was made at the Philadelphia Mint, it carries no mint letter under the date. Second, the coin should be magnetic because of its steel core. This is a simple and effective test. An original 1943 steel penny will lightly stick to a magnet. The surface of the coin is coated in zinc, which protects the steel underneath. But many circulated examples today show areas where the zinc has worn off, exposing darker or spotted metal. This is common and does not mean the coin is fake. Another important detail is weight. The steel cent weighs about 2.7 grams, noticeably lighter than copper cents from other years. If the coin is silver in color, magnetic, and correctly weighted, you are almost certainly holding a genuine 1943 steel penny. The next question is condition, because condition plays a major role in determining value. When a 1943 steel penny is described as being in fine condition, it means the coin has seen clear circulation but still retains all major design details. On the obverse, Lincoln's portrait will show obvious wear, especially on the hair and jawline, but the outline remains sharp enough to recognize most features. On the reverse, the wheat ears will show flattening, but the lines near the edges are generally still visible. Fine condition is a mid-grade level, not extremely worn, but not close to uncirculated. It reflects a coin that genuinely passed through hands during the wartime period and carries a bit of history in its surfaces now. Let's talk about value in today's market. Many people have heard exaggerated claims about 1943 pennies being worth thousands or even millions. But those claims almost always refer to the extremely rare bronze-era version, not the common steel penny. A normal 1943 steel penny without a mint mark in fine condition is considered common among collectors. While it is interesting and desirable as a historical coin, it is not rare. In most current U.S. coin markets, a typical example in fine condition sells for around $1 to several dollars. Many dealers price them roughly between $3 and $10, depending on eye appeal, the quality of the zinc surface, and whether the coin has rust or heavy discoloration. Coins with cleaner surfaces and brighter remaining zinc plating tend to sell toward the higher end of this small range, while darker, rusted, or heavily spotted examples tend to sell at the lower end. even though the value is modest. Collectors still enjoy owning these coins because they represent an important wartime story. They are also great starter coins for new collectors because they are affordable and easy to identify. If you are planning to sell your coin, it is helpful to compare it with online dealer listings and recent sales to make sure the condition matches what you believe it to be. You do not need to grade or certify a fine-condition steel penny unless you simply want it in a protective holder, because the grading fee would usually cost more than the value of the coin. Still, the 1943 steel penny remains a favorite historic piece, a reminder of a unique moment in the nation's history, and a collectible that almost every coin enthusiast enjoys owning. Next up, the 1924 Lincoln Wheat penny without a mint mark is a classic example of early mint twainage American coinage, struck at the Philadelphia Mint. This coin is part of the Wheat Cent series, which began in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, and it continues to be highly regarded by collectors for its historical significance and classic design. Even in good condition with some scratches, this 1924 penny remains a meaningful collectible. Its color shade adds an extra layer of interest, reflecting the natural toning that occurs over decades and lending the coin a unique character that enhances its appeal. The good grade indicates moderate to heavy wear, with design details worn but still identifiable, while the scratches show its life in circulation and authentic history. In 1924, the Philadelphia Mint struck millions of Lincoln cents, and surviving examples in good condition are appreciated by collectors for their legibility and overall historic value. On the obverse, Abraham Lincoln's portrait remains recognizable despite noticeable wear on the highest points, such as the cheek, jawline, and hair. The inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1924 are clearly visible, though they may be slightly flattened due to circulation. The absence of a mint mark confirms its Philadelphia origin. The minor scratches present across the surface are typical for coins that have been handled over decades, and they do not obscure the essential details needed to identify and study the coin. The color shade on this coin is particularly interesting to collectors. Over time, copper pennies naturally develop a patina due to exposure to air, moisture, and handling. This toning can range from light golden or reddish-brown hues to deeper chocolate-brown shades, and each coin develops a unique coloration. In this 1924 penny, the color shade adds depth and character, distinguishing it from other coins of the same date and making it visually appealing for display. Collectors often value natural toning because it demonstrates the coin's age and authenticity, and it is preferred over artificial alterations or cleaning. In today's market, a 1924 Lincoln Wheat penny without a mint mark in good condition with some scratches generally sells for around $7.50 to $820, depending on the intensity of the color shade, visibility of the date, and overall eye appeal. Coins with a more attractive or even toning pattern, sharper details, or fewer scratches tend to command higher prices, while those with heavier wear or less appealing coloration are closer to the lower end of this range. Although not a rare coin, the 1924 penny is valued for its historical significance and as part of a complete Philadelphia Lincoln Cent collection. Collectors are strongly advised not to attempt cleaning such coins to remove scratches or alter the color shade, as improper cleaning can strip the natural patina, create new scratches, and significantly reduce the coin's value. The authentic toning and the minor scratches present on this 1924 penny are part of its story, reflecting nearly a century of circulation, handling, and preservation. Coins in their original, unaltered state, even with wear, are preferred for both aesthetic and historical reasons, preserving the integrity of the coin for future generations. The historical context of this coin enhances its appeal. Circulating in the early 1920s, The 1924 penny was used during a period of American prosperity following World War I, a time of economic growth and social change. Pennies like this were part of everyday transactions, from buying groceries to saving in jars. And they provide a direct connection to the life and economy of the 1920s. The good condition of this coin suggests it was circulated for some time but preserved carefully enough to retain essential details, offering collectors a tangible link to nearly a century of American history. Next up, the 1943D Abraham Lincoln Steel penny is another interesting wartime coin that collectors often come across. And even though it is not rare, it carries a piece of American history from the World War II period. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint, and the small D mint mark under the date makes it easy to identify. Like all 1943 cents, the Denver issue was struck on a zinc-coated steel planchette instead of the usual copper alloy. The decision to use steel came during a time when the United States needed large amounts of copper for military supplies, so the mint changed the cents composition for just 1 year. Because of this, the 1943 coins look silver or gray rather than the usual bronze color. People noticed this strange new penny immediately, and many kept them, which is one reason the 1943D steel penny remains common today. If you are holding a 1943D steel penny in good condition with some scratches, it likely shows clear signs of circulation. A good grade means the coin has heavy wear, and the finer details of Lincoln's hair, cheek, and coat may be quite worn down. The date and lettering are still readable, but they may appear soft or weak in areas. On the reverse, the wheat stalks are usually quite flattened, and the lines inside the wheat ears are often worn away. Scratches are also common on these steel cents because the zinc surface can wear thin or flake, especially if the coin has been exposed to moisture or rough handling. Many circulated examples also show darker spots, minor corrosion, or areas where the steel core is visible. These flaws do not make the coin rare or more valuable. They simply reflect many years of circulation. Identifying the coin is simple. The D mint mark below the date confirms it was struck in Denver. The coin should also be slightly magnetic because of its steel core, and its weight should be around 2.7 grams. The silver-gray color is typical, although older coins may appear darker or streaked depending on how much zinc plating remains. The surfaces often show wear patterns that make each piece look a little different, especially when scratches or marks are present. Now, the most important part for most collectors is the value in today's market. While the 1943D steel penny has an interesting history, it is considered very common and millions were produced. Only coins in high uncirculated grades or those with major errors bring strong prices. A normal circulated 1943D steel penny in good condition, especially one with scratches or surface wear, does not carry a high premium. In today's coin market, a typical example like this usually sells for around 10 cents to 50 cents, depending on how heavy the scratches are, how much zinc remains, and overall eye appeal. Some collectors may pay a bit more if the coin has fewer spots and retains more of its bright original surface. But most heavily worn good-grade pieces fall comfortably under $1. Dealers commonly buy these coins in bulk for small amounts because they are so plentiful, and they often resell them for low prices to beginners or collectors who enjoy owning historical coins. If you are thinking about selling yours, it is helpful to remember that grading fees or expensive shipping are not worth it for a coin in this condition. The best way to sell a good condition steel penny is to include it in a small group of coins. Offer it at a local market or simply enjoy it as part of a historical collection. Next up, the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny with D mint mark is a significant example of mid-20th century American coinage, produced at the Denver Mint during the later years of World War II, even in good condition with some scratches. This coin remains collectible because it represents both the historical context of the period and the enduring appeal of the Lincoln Cent series. The good grade indicates moderate to heavy wear, with design details partially flattened, though key features such as Lincoln's profile. The date and the mint mark remain identifiable. Light scratches on the coin reflect its years of circulation, adding character while preserving its historical and numismatic significance. The Denver Mint produced a large number of Lincoln cents in 1944, continuing the production of copper pennies following the temporary 1943 steel cent issue. While many coins from this year are common, those that have survived in good condition are appreciated for their legibility and overall collectible value. In good condition, Lincoln's facial features and hair show noticeable wear, while his coat and outline remain visible. The inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1944 are all discernible, and the D-Mint mark confirms its Denver origin. Minor scratches present on both the obverse and reverse are typical for circulated coins of this age, reflecting decades of use while still allowing the coin to retain its collectible appeal. In today's market, a 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny with a D Mint mark in good condition with some scratches generally sells for around $1,000. Depending on the overall eye appeal, the clarity of the date and mint mark, and the extent of surface scratches. Coins that retain sharper details or fewer surface marks may sell at the higher end of this range, while those with heavier wear or more pronounced scratches may fall closer to the lower end. Although not rare, the coin is still valued by collectors for its historical significance and as part of a complete Denver Mint series. It is important not to attempt cleaning the coin, even with minor scratches, as this can damage the surface, remove natural patina, and create new marks that further reduce its value. Collectors generally prefer coins in their original, unaltered state, as the wear and minor scratches provide authenticity and reflect the coin's real-life circulation history. The scratches and surface marks on this 1944 D-penny add character, telling a story of decades of handling while preserving the coin's numismatic relevance. The historical context of the 1944 penny enhances its collectible appeal, circulating in the later years of World War II. This coin was part of everyday life in America, focused on wartime production, rationing, and recovery. Pennies like this were used for daily transactions, including groceries, public transportation, and savings, making them integral to the fabric of mid-20th century American commerce. The good condition of this example suggests that it saw substantial use but was handled with enough care to preserve its major design features, providing collectors with a direct connection to life during this period. Collectors also find educational value in coins like this one. A 1944 penny in good condition with scratches helps illustrate the effects of circulation on coin surfaces, how grading works, and how mint marks influence collectible value. It also demonstrates the durability of the Lincoln Cent series and the wheat ear design. Even with minor scratches, this coin provides clear design elements for study, display, and reference, making it both instructive and desirable for collectors of all experience levels. Next up, the 1943 Abraham Lincoln Steel Penny is another important coin from the World War II era, and it carries the small S mint mark that identifies it as being struck at the San Francisco Mint, like all 1943 cents. This coin was made from zinc-coated steel because the United States needed copper for wartime equipment, leaving the mint with no choice but to switch to steel planchettes for just that 1 year. Even though these coins were created out of necessity, they became one of the most recognizable U.S. coins ever made. Their silver-gray color stands out immediately compared to the standard bronze appearance of most Lincoln cents. And this unique look is one reason collectors remain interested in them today. A 1943 steel penny in very fine condition shows a moderate level of wear, but still retains noticeably more detail. Then coins graded good or fine, in very fine condition. The outlines of Lincoln's hair, cheekbone, and coat are still clear, and the main features remain sharp. On the reverse, the wheat ears show more definition, and many of the inner lines are still visible, even though the highest points may be worn down. The lettering, date, and mint mark are fully readable and are not weak or blurred. However, since your coin has some scratches, this is normal for circulated steel pennies. The zinc coating on these coins can sometimes flake or wear away, especially if the coin was stored in damp conditions, handled frequently, or kept loose with other coins. These scratches and small marks do not make your coin rare. They simply reflect typical circulation. The S-Mint mark under the date confirms that this coin was produced at the San Francisco Mint, like the other steel pennies. The coin is magnetic, and it weighs around 2.6 grams. Its surface may still retain some of its original shine if the zinc coating is intact. But many circulated examples show darker areas, dull patches, or small spots of wear. Despite these signs of age, a very fine example has more visual appeal than the lower-grade 1943 steel pennies and is considered a more desirable piece for collectors who prefer better preserved coins when it comes to value in today's market. The 1943 steel penny is still considered a common coin because millions were minted and many were saved shortly after they were released. Only exceptional, high-grade, uncirculated examples or rare errors command high prices. A normal circulated piece, even in very fine condition, remains affordable. In today's market, a 1943 steel penny in very fine condition with some scratches generally sells for around 40 cents to about $2,000, depending on the severity of the scratches, the brightness of the remaining zinc layer, and the overall eye appeal. Coins that retain more of their original silver-like shine will usually fall on the higher end of this range, while darker or more heavily marked examples settle near the lower end, while this value range is modest. The coin remains popular among collectors because of its historical significance. It represents the United States adapting to wartime pressures, changing materials to keep producing currency without interrupting daily life. Even though the 1943 steel penny is not a rare coin, it is a strong piece of American history, and owning one allows collectors to hold a physical reminder of that era. If you plan to keep the coin, storing it properly will help preserve it. Keeping it in a dry environment inside a holder that prevents moisture and friction can stop further scratching or discoloration. If you plan to sell it, dealers usually purchase circulated steel cents in bulk, so the best return typically comes from selling directly to collectors who appreciate the story behind the coin. No certification is necessary for a coin of this grade because grading costs would exceed its market value. Still, the 1943 steel penny remains a meaningful and interesting collectible that connects the past with the present in a very real way. First up, the 1951 Lincoln Wheat Penny with an S. Mint mark is a representative example of mid-20th century American coinage, minted at the San Francisco Mint, even in fine condition with some scratches. This coin carries both historical and collectible value, illustrating the continued popularity of the Lincoln Cent series and the final decade of the wheat ear design. The fine grade indicates moderate wear on Lincoln's high points while preserving the essential details of the portrait and inscriptions. Minor scratches across the obverse or reverse slightly affect visual appeal, but they do not compromise the coin's overall collectible significance or its role in completing a San Francisco minted Lincoln series. The San Francisco Mint produced a smaller number of Lincoln cents in 1951 compared to Philadelphia and Denver, making examples with the S-Mint mark more desirable for collectors. While circulated coins are common, finding those in fine condition ensures that Lincoln's facial features, hair, and coat folds remain distinguishable. The inscriptions "In God We Trust" along the top, "Liberty" on the left. The date 1951 and the S-Mint mark on the right are all clearly visible, making the coins suitable for study, reference, and display. The scratches on the surface, though minor, are typical for coins that have spent decades in circulation and reflect the coin's history and authenticity. On the obverse, Lincoln's profile remains well recognized despite moderate wear. The contours of his cheek, jaw, and coat are worn but still identifiable, while light scratches across the surface demonstrate the coin's life in circulation. The presence of the S-Mint mark below the date confirms its San Francisco origin, distinguishing it from Philadelphia or Denver issues of the same year. Even with visible surface marks, the obverse preserves the majority of the design detail, allowing collectors to appreciate both Brenner's artistry and the enduring legacy of Lincoln's portrait on American coinage. The reverse features the classic wheat ears design, with two stalks framing the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America and E pluribus unum along the top. In fine condition, the wheat stalks retain their basic outlines, though the delicate interior details of the stalks and grains are partially worn. Minor scratches across the reverse are typical for coins of this age and do not obscure the inscriptions or central design. The combination of moderate wear and preserved details makes this coin an excellent example for collectors interested in understanding the effects of circulation while still appreciating the coin's overall design in today's market. A 1951 Lincoln wheat penny with an S Mint mark in fine condition with some scratches generally sells for around $2,000, depending on the severity of the scratches, clarity of the mint mark, and overall eye appeal. Coins with fewer surface marks or slightly sharper details may command higher prices, while examples with more noticeable wear or scratches may fall closer to the lower end of the range. While its financial value is modest, this coin remains a meaningful piece for collectors completing a San Francisco series or for those seeking representative examples of early 1950s Lincoln wheat. Since it is essential not to attempt cleaning the coin to remove scratches, as improper cleaning can damage the surface, remove natural patina, and create new marks that reduce collector value. Coins in their original, unaltered state even with scratches are preferred by collectors because the wear and minor imperfections provide authenticity and reflect the coin's journey through circulation. The scratches on this 1951 Ness penny tell a story of decades of handling and exchange, adding character to the coin while preserving its collectible quality. The historical context of the 1951 penny enhances its significance. Circulating in the early 1950s, this coin was part of daily life in post-war America, a period marked by economic expansion, suburban growth, and increased consumer activity. Pennies like this were used for everyday purchases, transportation, and savings, making them an integral part of American commerce. The fine condition of this example suggests that it was moderately circulated but preserved carefully, allowing collectors to appreciate the original design elements while connecting directly to mid-20th century American life. Collectors also value this coin for educational purposes. A 1951 penny in fine condition with scratches provides a practical example of grading, illustrating how wear, surface marks, and mint marks affect coin classification and market value. It allows beginners to study the Lincoln portrait, wheat ear design, and the differences between Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mint issues. Even with minor scratches, this coin offers clear detail for study, display, and reference, making it both instructive and collectible. Next up, the 1935 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark is a classic pre-war coin that many collectors enjoy finding because it represents last decades of the original wheatback design. This coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and since Philadelphia did not use a mint mark at that time, the absence of a mint letter under the date is normal. The 1930s were years of recovery from the Great Depression, And pennies from this period saw heavy circulation because every cent mattered. So examples that survived in better grades are appreciated by collectors today. A 1935 wheat penny in extra fine condition shows only light, even wear with much of the original design still sharp. On the obverse, Lincoln's hair details are mostly clear. The cheekbone and jawline remain strong, and only the highest points show slight flattening from circulation. The date and lettering are crisp and easy to read without fading. On the reverse, the wheat ears display well-defined lines, and the outer edges remain sharp, although the tops of the wheat stalks may show a touch of wear. In this grade, the coin has very good eye appeal for its age and stands, well above the lower circulated grades that are more commonly found. However, since your coin has some scratches, that does affect the overall presentation. Scratches on copper coins are common and usually come from years of handling, pocket wear, or being stored loose with other coins. Light scratches do not remove the extra fine grade entirely if the design is still strong. But deeper or more noticeable marks can reduce its desirability for collectors. The natural brown toning that forms on older copper coins also varies from coin to coin. And depending on how the penny was stored, the color may be lighter or darker. These color changes do not necessarily reduce value, but obvious damage can. When it comes to identifying the coin, everything is straightforward. The bronze composition gives the coin its warm copper color, and the weight should be around 3.11 grams. The classic wheat reverse design, which was used from 1909 to 1958, makes it easy to recognize at a glance. A 1935 wheat penny without a mint mark is not a rare date. But coins in higher circulated grades, like extra fine, are less common than the well-worn examples that went through decades of use. In today's market, the value of a 1935 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark depends heavily on condition. Lower-grade examples are extremely common and usually sell for only a few cents. But an extra fine example, even with light scratches, is considered a nicer circulated coin. Realistically, a 1935 wheat penny in extra fine condition with some surface marks typically sells for around $300. Depending on the severity of the scratches, the overall eye appeal, and whether the color is attractive and original. Coins with fewer scratches and richer natural color are the ones that tend to reach the higher end of this range, while pieces with more noticeable marks or spotting settle toward the lower end, even though the value is modest. Many collectors appreciate these mid-grade wheat pennies as part of building a full year set or filling a 1930 section of a Lincoln penny album. They represent an important era in American history and remain affordable for collectors of all ages. If you plan to keep the coin, storing it in a proper coin holder will help prevent further scratches or discoloration. If you plan to sell it, most collectors and small dealers are familiar with this date and will offer a price based on the condition you describe. The coin does not need certification because grading fees would exceed its value. But as a historical piece, it still holds interest for anyone who enjoys early Lincoln cents. Next up, the 1919 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is a significant piece of early 20th century American coinage. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint as part of the original wheat cent series, which began in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. This coin holds both historical and collectible value, even in extra fine condition with some scratches. The 1919 penny retains much of its original detail, making it a highly desirable piece for collectors and enthusiasts. The extra fine grade indicates light wear on the highest points of Lincoln's portrait and the wheat ears, while the majority of the design remains sharp and well-defined. Minor scratches are present, but do not diminish the coin's overall appeal or integrity. The Philadelphia Mint produced a substantial number of Lincoln cents in 1919, with millions struck for general circulation. While circulated coins are common, examples in extra fine condition are valued because they preserve most of the design details. On the obverse, Abraham Lincoln's portrait is clear and well-defined. The contours of his cheek, jawline, and hair remain sharp, showing only light where on the highest points. The inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1919 are fully legible. The absence of a mint mark confirms its Philadelphia origin. The minor scratches on the surface are typical for coins that have survived over a century of handling, and they add authenticity to the coin's history. The extra fine condition of this coin allows collectors to appreciate Victor D. Brenner's original design. Lincoln's profile is easily recognizable, and the overall balance of the portrait is well preserved. The scratches, while present, do not obscure any critical features, allowing the coin to maintain both its aesthetic and numismatic value. The subtle details in Lincoln's hair and coat are still visible, providing insight into the craftsmanship of early 20th century minting. In today's market, a 1919 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in extra fine condition with some scratches generally sells for around $400 to $800, depending on the eye appeal, sharpness of the date, and severity of the scratches. Coins with cleaner surfaces and stronger details may command higher prices, while those with more noticeable wear or heavier scratches may sell closer to the lower end of this range. While the coin is not exceedingly rare, its age, historical context, and extra fine grade make it a desirable addition for collectors seeking to build or complete a Philadelphia minted Lincoln cent series. Collectors are strongly advised not to attempt cleaning this coin to remove scratches, as improper cleaning can damage the surface, remove natural patina, and reduce its collectible value. Coins in their original unaltered state, even with light scratches, are preferred, as the imperfections reflect authentic use and provide historical context. The scratches on this 1919 penny tell a story of its journey through circulation and handling, enhancing its narrative as a piece of American history. The historical context of the 1919 penny adds to its appeal. Circulating shortly after World War I, this coin was part of a transitional period in American history, as the nation recovered from the war and entered a decade of economic growth and social change. Pennies like this were used in everyday commerce, including grocery purchases, transportation, and small savings, making them an integral part of daily life. The extra fine condition suggests that the coin saw circulation but was preserved with care, allowing collectors to enjoy a nearly complete representation of Lincoln's design while connecting to the early 20th century era. Collectors also find educational value in coins like this one. A 1919 penny in extra fine condition with some scratches demonstrates how coins wear over time and how grading standards are applied. It provides insight into minting practices of the Philadelphia Mint and highlights the importance of Lincoln's portrait and the wheat ears. Design in U.S. coinage, even with minor scratches. The coin offers clear details for study, reference, and display, making it both instructive and collectible. Overall, the 1919 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in extra fine condition with some scratches is a historically significant and collectible coin. Its current market value generally ranges from $4 to $8, reflecting its grade, age, and Philadelphia mintage. Despite minor scratches, the coin retains essential design features and offers a tangible connection to post-World War I America and the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln on U.S. currency. Even with light imperfections, this coin continues to be appreciated for its historical, educational, and collectible significance, making it a meaningful addition to any Lincoln wheat penny collection. Next up, the 1944 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is one of the most common coins from the World War II period. Yet it carries an interesting story that connects it directly to the events of that era. This coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint And since Philadelphia did not use a mint mark on Lincoln cents at the time, the absence of a mint letter under the date is normal. After the steel pennies of 1943, the mint returned to the traditional bronze composition in 1944, using recycled shell casings from military training areas. As a result, millions of 1944 pennies were produced, and many of them circulated heavily for decades. A 1944 wheat penny in fine condition shows moderate wear but still keeps all major design elements visible. On the obverse, Lincoln's hair details are partly worn but still noticeable. The cheek and jawline are clear, and the lettering and date remain sharp and readable. On the reverse, the wheat ears show wear along the high points, but the outer stalks and much of the inner lines can still be seen. Fine condition reflects a coin that spent many years in circulation but retains enough detail to be attractive to collectors who enjoy mid-grade examples. Because your coin has some scratches, that is completely normal for circulated copper cents. Scratches often come from years of being carried in pockets, stored in jars, or handled without protection. Light scratches do not change the grade much as long as the main design is intact. But deeper or more noticeable marks can affect the coin's eye appeal. Copper also reacts to environmental conditions, so the surface color may vary from light brown to dark brown depending on how it was stored. This natural toning does not hurt the value, but heavy marks or stains can make the piece look less desirable. The 1944 wheat penny is easy to identify because it returned to the standard bronze composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it the classic reddish-brown color that collectors recognize. It weighs about 3.11 grams and features the wheat reverse that appears on all Lincoln cents from 1909 through 1958, since billions were minted in 1944. This date is not rare, and collectors commonly find them in penny rolls, old change jars, and mixed coin lots. When it comes to value in today's market, the 1944 wheat penny is one of the most affordable coins from the 1940s. Lower-grade pieces are extremely common and are often sold in bulk. A fine condition example with some scratches typically falls into the same general price range as other mid-grade circulated coins of this year. In today's market, a 1944 no-mint mark penny in fine condition with some surface marks usually sells for around $10,000, depending on the depth of the scratches, the eye appeal, and the overall surface quality. Coins with lighter wear and cleaner surfaces may reach the higher end of the range, while pieces with heavier scratches or spotting tend to stay on the lower end, even though the value is modest. The 1944 wheat penny is still appreciated by collectors because it represents the return to copper after the single year of steel pennies. It also reminds collectors of how materials from wartime production were reused by the mint to keep coinage flowing. Many collectors include this date as part of a complete wheat penny set, and its affordability makes it easy for beginners and young collectors to add it to their albums. If you plan to keep the coin, storing it in a protective holder will help prevent further scratches and protect the surface from moisture. If you plan to sell it, most dealers and collectors understand the value range for this date and will offer prices based on condition, although the coin does not need certification due to its low value. It still holds historical significance and remains a favorite addition for anyone building a set of Lincoln wheat pennies. Next up, the 1950 Lincoln wheat penny with D. Mint mark is an important example of mid-20th century American coinage, struck at the Denver Mint, even in good condition with some scratches. This coin holds both historical and collectible value, reflecting the continued popularity of the Lincoln cent series and the legacy of the wheat ear design, which was still in use at the time. The good grade indicates moderate wear on the highest points of Lincoln's portrait and the wheat ears, while the essential details remain visible. Minor scratches are present but do not diminish the coin's collectible significance or historical value, making it a solid addition to any Lincoln Wheat penny collection. The Denver Mint produced a significant number of Lincoln cents in 1950, though fewer than the Philadelphia Mint, making coins with the D Mint mark slightly more sought after by collectors. While circulated examples are common, those in good condition are appreciated for retaining legible details of both the obverse and reverse designs. On the obverse, Lincoln's profile is clearly identifiable despite moderate wear, with his cheek, jawline, and hair showing signs of circulation. The inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1950 remain legible, and the D Mint mark below the date confirms the coin's Denver origin. Light scratches across the surface reflect decades of handling but do not obscure key design features. In today's market, a 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny with a D Mint mark in good condition with some scratches generally sells for around $30,000, depending on the severity of the scratches, the clarity of the mint mark, and the overall eye appeal. Coins with sharper detail and fewer surface marks may command higher prices, while those with heavier scratches or more pronounced wear may fall toward the lower end of this range. Although not extremely rare, this coin is valued for its historical significance and for completing Denver minted Lincoln cent collections. Attempt cleaning this coin, even to remove scratches, as improper cleaning can damage the surface, remove natural patina, and reduce its collector value. Coins in their original, unaltered condition, even with minor scratches, are preferred by collectors because they preserve the coin's authenticity and historical context. The scratches on this 1950 D penny reflect decades of circulation and handling, contributing to the coin's story and reinforcing its value as a collectible artifact. The historical context of the 1950 penny enhances its appeal. Circulating in the post-war era, this coin was part of daily life in an expanding American economy, marked by suburban growth, increased consumer spending, and the ongoing development of infrastructure and commerce. Pennies like this one were used for everyday transactions, small savings, and routine purchases, making them an integral component of mid-20th century life. The good condition of this coin indicates that it was moderately circulated but preserved well enough to retain the essential details of its design, providing collectors with a tangible connection to American life during this period. Collectors also find educational value in coins like this. A 1950 penny in good condition with scratches illustrates the effects of circulation over time and the principles of coin grading. It also highlights the significance of mint marks and allows collectors to differentiate between Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco issues. Even with scratches, this coin provides clear examples of Lincoln's portrait, the wheat ear design, and mid-century minting practices, making it instructive and collectible. Overall, the 1950 Abraham Lincoln Wheat penny with D Mint mark in good condition with some scratches is a historically significant and collectible coin. Its current market value generally ranges from 30 cents to $1, reflecting its grade, moderate wear, and Denver mintage. Despite minor scratches, the coin retains essential design features and offers a tangible connection to post-war America and the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln on U.S. currency. Even circulated examples like this one continue to be appreciated for their historical, educational, and collectible significance, making them a meaningful addition to any Lincoln Wheat penny collection.